Hi guys, Will Terry here, and it's a beautiful day in Arizona, and today I am going to show you some of the artwork for my new book, my new Pickleball Paul book. I'm not telling you the full title because I don't want to release that just yet. And I'm going to also show you stats and revenue share. So I'm going to do both of those things in this video. I'm going to answer questions that I get on this channel from the previous video. So if you have any questions about my ongoing project, this video is part of a playlist called How I'm Going to Make $50,000 on my next children's book, that being Pickleball Paul. And so let's get into it. So the first thing I want to do is share with you some of the artwork from my upcoming, my next book, my new book. Here it is. Doesn't that look amazing? So I thought I'd give you some insight into my process, and this was done really small. It's kind of blown up on this screen, but I'll take you through the progression of how I finished this. So basically, I'm just trying to get the feel of a couple of the characters. This is Paul and his dog Chloe, and they're jumping on the bed. And the reason they're jumping on the bed is they're excited. And then I went straight to finish on this one. But you can see how that initial thumbnail sketch had a lot of the same feel as the final. And what I'm doing here is I'm setting up in the story for the fact that the paddle, his pickleball paddle, is going to get lost. And so let me just kind of click through some more of these. And so in the story, he's playing with the dog on the bed. He's jumping on the bed, and then he decides he's got to pack for his trip. So this is packing for a trip right here, or I'm sorry, packing for his next pickleball tournament. And then this is the finish on that one. It's kind of cropped off here because it's coming in from the side of the page, and so it'll actually crop probably a ½ inch to an inch inside of here. And you can see that little dog is eyeing the paddle. And then the next scene is, can you tell what's going on here? This was drawing on the iPad. Now most of these are done, well, all of these are done in Procreate on the iPad, and then I bring them into Photoshop to add color to them when I'm all finished. So I don't have color today. I'll share that on a future video. But look how rough I stay, and I'm just trying to get the layout of the room and trying to get what's happening here. And what I want is, I want room for the gutter, I want room for the text, and I want room to show that the little fox, Paul, is looking for his paddle under the bed, and the dog is running outside the door, out the door with the paddle. So here's the next version of that. And I'm just roughing these in on my iPad. You can see my rough border here. I know that it's a vertical book. They're all going to be the same size. And so it's a vertical picture book. So I can get the dimensions fairly accurate, but at this point, I'm not using a template. I'm just kind of free drawing and getting the ideas down and getting the bed in the right place, getting the dog running out the door with the paddle, and a few other objects in the room. And then I go to a more finished from there. And it looks something like this. And then I think I have one more version where I finished the dog a little bit more. Yeah, and added a little bit more hatching. And so that's pretty much my pencil sketch, or when I take it in and do color, I have the shadows laid out, I have the lighting pretty much figured out, and I go in and enhance it. So you'll see this one in a future video. And then a little bit more of the story. He can't find his paddle anywhere. He's frantic. He knows he just had it on the bed, and what could have possibly happened to it? It was just there. And we've all been through that, right? So I like to write stories that everyone can relate to because we've all been there. And what does Paul do? He gets angry because someone else must have taken his paddle. It couldn't have been him, whenever something goes missing. So what does he do next? He blames his sister. And so that's as far as I'm going to show you today. I've got about twice as many of these finished. And I started pretty much on April 1st drawing these. So in a month, I've gotten there's, including the cover, which is finished, I've got 28 illustrations to do. And as of yesterday, on April 30th, was my goal was to get halfway. So I wanted to get to 14, and I actually got 16 of them finished. So I got 2 extra ones, which gives me a buffer zone, because I want to have this book turned into my designer by the end of this month, April. So did I say, or sorry, May, by the end of May. Oh, yeah. So I'm a little ahead of schedule, and that's good because I'm going to need the time. You always end up needing a little bit more time. And so that's some of the artwork. And one other thing I wanted to show you here is if I go into Photoshop and just show you how I finish this and add a little bit more texture. So you could see, like, I've got hatching marks all over the bed. And I'm trying to control, light and shadow in adding those. And I don't believe in just adding a texture on top to solve all of that, or at least it doesn't work for my style. But I do have, and I'm bringing in this texture of just the cross hatching that I use over and over and over again. And if we look at it, you can see, if I zoom in on that, you can see there's all those hatch marks, right? But what we're going to do is blow it up bigger. And so I will just do this right here, right now. We'll go ahead and bring some over. And I don't care if it distorts a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and make that a multiply layer. That's right. And so you can see right here now how it's transparent, but it's a little bit dark and it's interfering a little bit much. So what I usually do, or what I've done on the other book, is take it down to about 50% on the layer, give or take a few percentage points. And that way I've got that texture in there everywhere, but it's not interfering with the more bold marks that I made. And that way I can save a lot of time rather than having to go and put that texture in here by hand on every single one of those drawings. That's kind of how I do it there. So there's a little insight into how I'm working on these. And so that's that part of this video. And the next part I want to show you, and this is what I've been doing, is sharing my statistics on, how much the books cost, how much how much I've have made thus far. And so if you remember, if you watched my video at the end of March, beginning of April, that's when I shared this. So this really, this $17,000 here in the red is how much I spent on this project thus far. Okay, roughly. And I went through what all that money was spent on. So it's in one of the previous videos. If you're interested in this series, go back and watch, because a lot of the questions I've already answered. But basically, from last month in April, in March, I had made about $7,759 selling 420 books, which brought me up to this level here, and there should be a dot there. And then, okay, so what do we do in April? So that was March. And April sold sold another 184 books. So not as many as the launch. So the total is 604 books selling 180. And my April revenue, April profits is actually 4280. And that lets me put this line in right here. And so that's where I am, trying to crawl my way back above water. Now, one thing that I already did was this little dot should be higher. It should be almost right at the 5,000 mark, but I spent $1,000 to hire my marketing guy where we're going to start doing Facebook ads. So I've been filming some Facebook ads this week, and we're going to be running ads again on this book. So we haven't started that yet, but I just thought I'd share that. And that's why I put that dot a little bit lower. It's kind of hard to do a total profit and loss and show everything with the graph, because what's really happening is the graph is going up and down as I spend, and then back up as I sell, and down. But this is the profit. I'm only going to be tracking the profit, or the money that I still have. But if I spend, I'll subtract out of it anyway. So there you go. And I'm hoping to, like I said, I'm going to make $50,000. Look how far up there I've got to get. I got to get clear up here. So this journey is going to take a while. And that is going to lead me into sharing with you, before I finish this, some of my other stats. So let's just bring in, I was going to show you here on Amazon a few things to look at. And that is specifically in my, there's a lot of you guys have been complimenting me on how good I've been doing on the series. Well, I uploaded my video, the upside down version, the way I filmed it, and then I flipped it and rendered it. But of course I uploaded the upside down one, so I got to re-upload that. There's always things to do, always mistakes that you make, right? So my sales rank right now is 100,000 or 142,322. And that's, if you don't know what that is all the books that they sell on Amazon. So out of all the books, and there's millions, I don't know how many million there are, but there are millions of books that are being sold that you could purchase on Amazon right now today. My book is 142,322. Now, last Friday, I believe it was Friday, I was down at 10,000. So substantially lower than this. So, and at that point I was 10,000 something. I didn't break below 10,000, but for about a 5-hour period, I was down at 10, 11,000. And that means of all the books that have ever been sold on Amazon for that moment in time, I was number 10,000, whatever it was. The cool thing about that is, of all those books, that's including all the novels and all the nonfiction. It's including all the books that I'm not competing with. So I don't know how many children's books there are, but I would imagine if you're like 10,000th book, of all the books, I might have been like 1,000th, the 1,000th book of all the children's books. That's pretty cool to do something self-published and be that high up. Now, of course, I want to get a lot higher or lower, as the case may be, in the search rank, because of course number one is the best. So you want to be number one, or number 100. Anything in the 3 digits. If you break into the hundreds on a children's book, you're selling really well. Now, what does that equate to in actual sales? And before I show you the Amazon numbers, let me show you this. My website here, and make a distinction, because a lot of people coming in on the series don't understand what I'm doing. So I'm just going to say it really quick. I'm selling the hardcover book version of this on my website, pickleball-paul.com. I'm only selling the softcover version on Amazon. So just want to kind of reiterate that. Now let's look at the sales stats. And for today, I'm at 3 sales already, and the day's just kind of started. It's only 11:43 here in the morning. But as we look at this, if we look at lifetime sales, I've sold 273 books since January 11th, so not quite 4 months. And if we look at that in royalties, we can see we got to go back to lifetime. I'm not doing too bad, and you can see that this was January. Was $149. February we dropped down to $90. I wasn't really doing anything. This was people hearing about it. I only told, again, you guys on YouTube, and I told and then people hearing about it and checking to see if it's on Amazon. And again, I made a video a couple weeks ago about this very thing and sales spiking. April spiked up really high, and that's because I was doing my own marketing into pickleball specific Facebook groups. So I was posting or sharing a post that I did on Facebook, and you can see if we look at let's look at the last 90 days on that stat. I had when I shared the first time I shared in a couple of pickleball groups, I saw this spike, which was higher than any other spike in sales, selling about 10 books. And if we go back to, let's go back to orders. So that was 10 books. And then my sales guy, Bill, I talk about him in other videos too. So if you want to know what he's doing, he shared to his Facebook audience and spiked it again. And then we flat bottomed here for a week. And then I shared in, I think it was like 30 different pickleball groups. And we saw a spike of like, I want to say 10 or 12 books on the pickleball-paul.com, but twice as many sales on this one day. And then of course, each day after that, you're getting higher than normal sales. And then it starts to die off from those Facebook posts. So that's the coolest news for me, is that when we do marketing on Facebook, and I expect the Facebook ads to pump this number much higher. I hope I'm right. So anyway, just kind of giving you an insight into what I'm doing there sales wise. And so that's what's going on. Got some pretty cool people interested in doing big businesses interested in doing collaborations with Pickleball Paul, carrying it in their stores. We just got we're getting wholesale orders from a it's a franchise. It's a chain of indoor pickleball facilities that have pro shops, and there's 6 of them, and they're going to carry the book starting next month, starting in June. So that's pretty cool. But we have a bunch of other things like that in the works that I can't talk about yet because they haven't happened yet, and so I don't want to say that something's happening if it's not. And so I expect sales to really pick up as we move this thing forward. Now, there were some questions regarding that I want to talk about and kind of dive into that. So I'm just going to go through them, and there's quite a few today. There's 4 of them, so let's hit it. First one's from Jessica. Hi, well, thanks for your videos and being so transparent. It's nice to get a realistic idea of the work that goes into marketing a book. In your experience, is there a finite amount of time you have to hit your goal after launch before sales start to drop? I suppose I have the same question for traditional publishing as well. Yeah, so that's a really good question, and it's a really tough question to answer in some ways because every project's a little different. So like on Kickstarter, it's all about the launch. You only launch, the whole thing is a launch, right? You launch for 30 days typically, and then you're done, and then you satisfy those orders. So it's all about maximizing as many sales as you can early on. I looked at this book, and I looked at the market and how we were going to reach the audience, and I thought, we're not going to reach them on a crowdfunding platform like Kickstarter, so I'm not doing a Kickstarter. The way we're going to reach them is through tournaments, which my sales guy is doing, through retail outlets, which we have 6 different locations selling the book right now, not including the one I just talked about that's going to be carrying them in their 6 locations. So that would make 12 next month. And then we have my personal online sales. We have Lily and I's personal sales that we make. And then we're going to be doing Facebook marketing and stuff like that. So for this project, I do not have a goal as to when I want to hit my $50,000 profit, right? Of course, I'd love to hit that tomorrow. Who wouldn't? But realistically, it's going to take a while to build this brand. That's why I've also am planning 5 more books in the series. And each book should expand my reach and my sales numbers and ultimately the profit. So if that takes a year to 2 years, maybe 3 years, I'm not exactly sure. This is I'm in uncharted waters here. I do know this, that the statistic that people talk about a lot is that for the average business, it takes them 3 years to become profitable. I don't think it's going to take me 3 years to become profitable at all. You saw where I am right now. Now, when I order books, my next batch of books for the second book, you're going to see that money dip down again because I got to pay for books, and then we'll have two books that we're selling, and so on. So I don't really have a goal other than we're just working this and seeing what we can do, and trying to get stats. I'll tell you, the Facebook marketing is going to tell me a lot. And the goal is to get ads that are performing well right before Christmas, because people spend more than half of their disposable income at Christmas time. So to be in a position to try to attract some of that money, it's like when people go on vacation, right? They'll take, I don't know, they'll go and get some cash, and they're like, that cash in their wallet is the money that they're going to spend on vacation. It's like they've budgeted it and they decided, this is what I'm going to spend. So they're much more free with spending it on impulse items than they would normally be. And the same goes true for Christmas. People kind of tend to budget a certain amount of money that they're going to spend. They have a certain number of people they're going to shop for, and they're going to spend that money. So being ready for Christmas is, I will tell you, is a huge goal for this project. I will have the second book for Christmas so that we can do some offers with that. Maybe buy one first price, get one half price. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do there. But yeah, getting ready for Christmas is going to be, it was going to tell a lot. So this is a get rich slow scheme for sure. It is definitely not a get rich quick scheme, but I'm hoping that you guys find a lot of value in me sharing everything that's happening and all that's going into this, so you can make decisions for yourself. And some people have asked, like, could you have done this with just Amazon and just pushing the Amazon book? Absolutely, I could. And that's one of the coolest things about Amazon. I can order my books from Amazon for $3.65 each, and sell those. Why didn't I? Because I really wanted a hardcover, and I wanted to be able to offer both. And I don't know if that's going to end up being a good decision or not. Time will tell, but we'll see in the long run. Okay, second one is kind of a three-parter. This one's by Point and Shoot. Number one, what do kids think of Pickleball Paul? Both the art and the story. I have talked to a lot of people who say their kids love it. Now, is anybody going to report back to me and say, hey, we bought your book and our kids hated it? Just thought you'd want to know. No, I'm not going to hear that, and a lot of people that know me gave me a 5-star review on Amazon, and I really appreciate that. Time will definitely move my Amazon rank down. I'll get people that got it and for whatever reason didn't like it. I'll get the grandma who loved it and who rated me 1 star because she thought that she's giving me a star. Has happened on a couple of my other books where I get this glowing review from a grandma and 1 star because they don't know how the 5-star rating system works and all. I've actually heard from the guy who built my website, Chris, that's actually a good thing to not be at five stars, to be at 4.9 or 4.7 or 8. It's more believable and it's more trustworthy. 5 seems like it's been gamed, so that's an interesting thought. I'd never heard that before. So that's the first part of his question. The second one is the book made for kids or to sell books to adults, because I don't know how you're getting the book in front of kids for them to make the decision to buy it. My son mostly chose sticker and drawing books. I usually chose the storybooks, and we had some really well illustrated children's books. So that is, the question is the main point, which is in children's books, you're always appealing to the adult because kids don't have a wallet. And in any that's actually one of the most frustrating things to me about children's books is that you're making a book to appeal to not your audience, right? In one way of saying it, because you have to appeal to the adult who's not the person who really likes it or who loves it or hates it, who it's intended for. What if the adult loves it and is constantly trying to force it on a kid who hates it? That happens. But ultimately, I would say you have to appeal to the adult. The answer is in your question, because the adults are the ones making the decision. The adults are the ones buying it. So, am I purposely going to make more money for making a pickleball book that I knew grandparents would fall in love with because they play pickleball and want to share it with their grandkids? Absolutely, I did. Absolutely I did, and that's who I designed it for. And at the same time, I tried to think, how will kids relate to this, and wrote the story based on my experiences as a kid and the thoughts and feelings, and especially in the one that I just showed you, the lost paddle, which is the idea that we've all lost something, we've all been frustrated, and we've all blamed someone else for it. I didn't want to write pickleball children's books that are just about pickleball. In fact, none of them are going to be about pickleball at all. Pickleball is the backdrop, and it's the thing that the bait that I can use to attract the pickleball player. But I'm hoping to also be able to market to non-pickleball people, or people whose kids came home from school saying, hey, we're playing pickleball. And they see my book on Amazon, or they see an ad for it on Facebook, and they go, oh, well, my kids are playing that now. Maybe we should know more about it, or maybe we should be talking about it, or maybe a book about it. Or a lot of people don't read, and they're not going to know. I mean, they really won't know what the story is about until they get into it. So I don't know. It's interesting, like some parents, I can theorize, might show a book to their kids and say, do you want this one? And it's in front of the kid, and the kid's going to go, yeah, or no. When I was running the Little Heroes booth at different comic conventions, a lot of times the parents would take my Little Heroes book, and they go, do you want this? And the kid's like, no. And the kid is wanting to go get cotton candy across the way. So sometimes kids are the worst judge of a book because they haven't even looked at it yet. They wouldn't even, a lot of times kids wouldn't even look at the book. They're like, no, I want to go over there. And so it's like, they're too little. So parents have to pick stuff for their kids, and they have to pick, hopefully they pick stuff that's teaching good messages. That's what I'm trying to do in my book, is teach really good, positive messages, lessons that we all need to learn without being preachy. Okay, then the third part of this question is, what does that ad look like? Is it a video? So he's asking about, like, you're going to be doing Facebook ads. What is the ad going to be looking like? And so right now we're going to test everything. We're going to test video, long and short format. We're going to test still images, and in various forms. We're going to test it in different applications on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And we're going to let the one thing that my marketing guy is big on is let the statistics that we get dictate how we spend the money. Because you may think that mostly pickleball people are going to love your book, and you might be totally right, but maybe you're wrong. And so we're going to try to put it in front of a lot of different types of people. And when you spend money on Facebook, if you do it right, they will put you in feeds of people who do buy things on Facebook, and who buy the types of things that we're selling. Hopefully, that's the hope anyway. And we'll be getting stats and know if we can get a positive ROAS, so return on ad spend. So next question is by Maureen. Thanks, Will, for the insight. It gives me ideas. So she's talking about Facebook groups that I talked about in another video, in making a Facebook group that's geared towards my audience. And she says, getting emails, have you done any videos on how to get them and what program you use to group them in an email list, or any other info we need to know about that, utilizing email for marketing? I know offering something as a free download is a strategy to get them, absolutely, but I don't know where to start with that. Do you separate the emails you get for your list, for that list, from your personal email account? Yeah. So yeah, what you really want to do is you want to put people into different buckets. So there's more than one question here. Like, what do you do with the emails that you get? If you have more than one opt-in from different sites, like I have a Pickleball-Paul site, I have a willterry.com site. So my Will Terry audience, my What They Don't Teach in Art School audience, is another totally different audience. I try to only market the pickleball stuff to the people that I think would like it, like my Will Terry audience. Some of them are going to like it, but I would imagine that most of my pickleball audience people are going to like it on a higher percentage. And you put them into different groups because your messaging is going to be different to each of them. You might have to educate people more about what pickleball is to the willterry.com people, for instance. So your message might be something like, have you ever heard of pickleball before? It's the fastest growing sport in the U.S. right now. So you're doing a little education there, and guess what? I got this book now. For the pickleball audience, you're not going to use that same messaging. You're going to say, hey, I got my next pickleball book done. And they're going to already know what it's about because they opted in on Pickleball Paul, and they probably already bought the first book. So they're a good majority of them are probably going to want the second one. How do you get those emails? Yeah, one way is offering a free digital download or something really inexpensive in exchange for the email. And we will be doing a lot of that in the future as well. And then also, what program am I using for this? You can use like MailChimp, or I'm using one called Klaviyo, and it's spelled with a K, Klaviyo, and they're both about the same amount of money. They charge you based on how large your list is. So the smaller your list, the less you pay, the larger your list, and so on. And it's there's good things about them in structuring emails and being able to control and see click-through rates and see all the statistics. And maybe in a future video when we do another email campaign, I'll show you that, and I'll show you behind the scenes on that, as there might be some interest from some other people there. It gets kind of technical on some of that stuff, and I have to be coached through a lot of it because I'm not that technical of a guy, and I don't enjoy that part of it. So I like other people helping me out. Okay, and then I think this is the last one. Yeah, the last one's by Jim Gleason, who is a friend, and he gives me a lot of encouraging words, and then he's like, says, have you thought about like offering some stickers? That it's kind of a no-brainer to offer stickers and magnets and stuff like that. Yes, I have. I'm not anxious to go further upside down money-wise right now unless I can feel like it would really benefit me right now. So I haven't. I actually was looking at Sticker Mule the other day to check their prices to kind of do a comparison on like what would be a good pack to put together. And the problem that I have that I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I think people would spend like $5 for two, like let's say 3x3 or 4x4 stickers. I think without testing, you don't know, right? But that's about the going rate, I think, when people sell them on their sites. The cost for those looks like it'll be somewhere between $1.50 and $2 for that pack. And when I say pack, I just mean two of them, a 2-pack, and maybe a little sleeve, a little piece of plastic sleeve that I can get from clearbags.com. And so, throwing that in there, our shipping costs are right around $5. But if I do those stickers, I'll be able to profit like $3 off of them. So if I put them on the site, you can see I have free shipping for orders $29 and over. And of course the book is $24.95. So if I had a sticker pack over here, it would definitely bump it to $29. The problem is, in some ways it's costing me. It's surprising how many people will just buy the book and pay the shipping. But if they got the book and the stickers, then I'd be paying the shipping and I would be losing money. So it's interesting. I'd be doing a lot more extra work, like getting the stickers ready to make the stickers, to put them on the site, and then I actually lose money doing it, and so I've thought of it because it would be fun to have them there, and maybe if you guys have better ideas, let me know. But right now that's why I made the posters bundle, and it's at $12. And we get about 30% of our customers are buying this poster bundle for $12, and that pays. They get the free shipping, but basically they're paying for shipping. My costs on that is like $1.50 for those two posters, so $1.50 total. and I'm making a little extra money. So that one actually makes a lot of sense. Now, maybe there's, I don't know, maybe if I could do a 3 or 4 sticker pack for $10, I don't know. But it has to make sense. You don't want to do a bunch of extra work and then find out that at the end of the month you actually lost money for doing that extra work. So you got to try to figure stuff out like that. Um, and then he also talks about a lead magnet, like sending something out for free. That is like a digital version. And he was like, what about like rules of the game and court etiquette and just all sorts of things like that. And that could be a really good add-on. I have a feeling that in the future, as I get more books, what I might end up being able to do once I have 3, 4, or 5 books is being able to just offer the first book in ebook form for free for an email. So, give the first book away. And this is why this is a huge gamble on my part to embark on a huge project like this, but it is so rewarding to be able to work on this. I am absolutely in heaven working on these books, and I find that the writing is fun. I'm finding that the illustrating them is fun, and who knows, 2 or 3 years is going to go by anyway, and in those 2 or 3 years, I want to have a project that is a full-on brand, that is just, I don't know, is giving me options, because it's not just one product. I can do all kinds of deals and try to expand the online reach that way. So anyway, that's my update, and thanks for watching. Don't subscribe unless you want to see more videos like this. Go back and check out the other ones if you're interested in finding out what I've been doing from the very start of this project all the way up through now. And if you're interested in learning how to be an illustrator like this, I actually have an online school. I started it with Jake Parker and Lee White. It's called svslearn.com, and we have a free trial on the subscription. Our subscription is like $30 a month. We've hired teachers. All of us taught at universities and in the illustration departments, and we've hired teachers that have taught in illustration departments. So you're getting the same instruction you would if you went to college, but it's go your own pace, and the price is super affordable because we're not accredited. We don't give a diploma. And for that, you get to have an experience no matter where you are in the world, no matter what your schedule is like, on a very, very, very affordable budget. You can get the same instruction that you would have gotten if you had gone to an illustration BFA program and even an MFA program. So check that out if you're interested in becoming an illustrator, and I will see you on the next video.